Let me take a moment because this is a very difficult issue to discuss, and it's the issue of Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has gone through a number of attacks, literally just to workers' rights for a long time, and I had the pleasure in my former jobs to be so close to the island and be working with the island. After Maria, what we saw, it was just devastating from the devastation point of view, but it was such an inspiration to see the Puerto Rican people, an example of resilience, saying, we're gonna be here, we're gonna save our beautiful island. And now, in the last weeks, we have seen a number of earthquakes, and two questions. First of all, what can we do when we have the most inept president responding to Puerto Rico that is just an embarrassment? But in the long term, you have been in the front lines fighting for workers' rights, and nobody's really answering. How can we give back and strengthen the workers' rights of Puerto Rico instead of focusing on benefiting Wall Street, which is what the Junta de Control Fiscal has been doing?
Yes. So I have been fighting for Puerto Rico since long before the hurricanes. I got involved on the issue of debt and how Wall Street was treating Puerto Rico like a cash cow. They traded in vulture funds and then went to the island and squeezed more and more and more money out of Puerto Rico. They squeezed money out when it meant closing schools. They squeezed money out when it meant closing hospitals. They squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and they continue to squeeze. If Puerto Rico were a city, Puerto Rico could declare bankruptcy and deal with this debt and be done. If Puerto Rico were a giant corporation, it could declare Chapter 11, pay something on its debts, and be done, cancel the rest. If Puerto Rico were an independent country, it could go to the IMF, and they don't call it bankruptcy, but it's effectively the same thing. But because of Puerto Rico's status, that means there is no resolution for this debt. I have fought for Puerto Rico to have the opportunity, if it chooses, to be able to declare bankruptcy, to be able to end this debt. I fought against Promesea. I think it is wrong to put a board in charge of further squeezing the Puerto Rican people who cannot pay these debts to Wall Street. And understand this, when someone has a stranglehold and keeps demanding more and more and more out of a country, investment money doesn't come in because they look around and realize how many more schools will close, how many more hospitals, how many more services will be cut off. It's not a place that can thrive. So the way I see it, one of the first priorities for Puerto Rico must be that they need debt relief, and they need it now. I can't state this strongly enough. And then the other part, of course, is when catastrophes strike, hurricanes, earthquakes, Puerto Ricans are our fellow Americans. We help each other in a crisis, and that means we get the relief that is needed as quickly as it is needed. We stand with our brothers and sisters.
Thank you, Senator.
I should add one more here, because it goes back to your point about representation. The first person hired in my campaign is from Puerto Rico. She is my state director back in Massachusetts. And every time we get together, she raises the issue one more time, just to say, please remember Puerto Rico. It is the best example of what you said. Representation matters. Having a cabinet, having a team that is like the rest of America matters. We've got to have representation. Thank you.